The Uninvited is a mystery, but also a horror directed by Charles Gard and Thomas Gard, who are also known as the Gard brothers. The film is about a young girl called Anna who, after the death of her ill mother in a fire, tries to commit suicide and is sent to a mental institution for treatment. 10 months later, Anna can still not remember what has happened on the night her mother died. Her psychiatrist, Dr. Sibylline, however, discharges her, telling her that she has resolved her issues. Her father, Stephen, brings her back home to an isolated mansion nearby the coast. Anna finds that her mother's former nurse, Rachel Summers, is her stepmother now. Anna meets her beloved sister, Alex, but she discovers that Stephen has not delivered the letters and CDs that Alex has sent to her. As the film goes on, Anna is haunted by ghosts and she believes that Rachel killed her mother. Alex and Anna decide to look for evidence to prove that Rachel is the murderer, and Anna discovers the truth about the fire in the boathouse. The film is based on a Korean movie called The Tale of Two Sisters, which the directors remade into an American version. The original film had a real hard plot to follow, which the screenwriter Craig Rosenberg had to adapt, as well as some characters to answer questions in the remake that were hard to answer in the original version. The remake was more successful than the original, especially in the box offices. The remake made £10 million, which equals £6 million in UK money, compared to the original, which made 72,000. This means that the remake made £6,000 more, which shows that's completely wrong, which shows that the remake was much more successful and had a much better response than the original. On its opening day, it was screened in 2,344 theatres with an average take of $4,000 per theatre, and the film grossed $4 million and ranked number 2 in the box office. However, it finally got £10 million for its opening weekend, which was ranked 3rd place in the US cinemas chart. The film spent 9 weeks in US cinemas and finished with a total gross of $28 million. It did fairly well for a horror film in the US markets. The film was released on March 26, 2009 in Australia, and the film opened at the 5th position in the Australian ranking charts, averaging £3,000 at $121 sites for a gross of £4,000. The second week, it dipped 29%. 80% of the story takes place at the house. The directors originally had 2 houses to film, in which were terrible compromises, but both of them fell through. They had a difficult time finding anything that had both the connection to the story and the right logistical possibilities. The film was shot in Vancouver, British Columbia. Most of the film was shot at one location, a waterfront property on British Columbia's Bowen Island, a short ferry ride west from mainland Vancouver. The fact that the house chosen was in 30 miles of Vancouver was a greater plus than the minus of having to get everyone on boats to get them over there. Water taxis and ferries are a way of life up in British Columbia. However, the film's location is set in Maine. Star and Stardom has many different types of categories. In the film, The Uninvited, the main star is Emily Browning. She is known as a professional because she is simply good at her job. In her early career, she starred in the films such as Lemony Snicket's A Series of Unfortunate Events, playing Violet in 2004, then The Uninvited in 2009. She played Baby Doll in Sucker Punch in 2008, and this year she is now starring in a film called Pompeii, which also stars Kit Harington from Game of Thrones. She is also known as a star as an object of desire because she is a very attractive actress. In the film Sucker Punch, she was portrayed as a playboy bunny, defenceless little girl, which did its job as it made over £96 million in the box office overnight worldwide. Emily Browning is also classed as a star as a commodity since the collapse of the studio system. The releasing of stars as a form of industrial commodity in their own right arguably became the package around which the films were produced, and classically, the female star is held to be a sexualised spectacle. The main genre power Emily Browning goes for is the fantasy/horror type of films, and she also goes for characters that have a great backstory where the story is told through that character. The critical response towards the film was rated mostly a 4 to 5 star. The most interesting review I found was on IMDb, which said, "A lot of people seem to be judging this movie by a trailer alone. But I was lucky enough to see an advanced screening today, and I have to say that the movie was not what I expected. Sure, some of the obvious plot points in the trailer are there, but overall, the movie was really quite good. Suspenseful, scary at the right moments, with a hint of flavour you don't see in most movies. Take my word for it though, I thought it was really well done. It definitely does well for itself. Don't judge a book by its cover. It may be a remake, but it's a good remake." In my opinion, I completely agree with this review, but I also asked 5 random people to watch the film who had never seen it. These are the responses I got. 1, it was alright for a remake, but I think the ending wasn't that good. 2, I loved it, it kept me on edge, the main character was amazing. Number 3, I hated it, it was far too scary for me, I couldn't keep my eye on it for 3 quarters of the film. Number 4, it's not easy to make a horror movie these days. The critics will hate it by definition. Their expectations are always high and mostly unsatisfiable. They will call them uninspirational, uninteresting, and not original enough. Number 5, although the original A Tale of Two Sisters was an epic movie that delivered certain moods and feelings that this movie, and in brackets, most other films to date couldn't quite capture, this film was still just great. This shows a mixed opinion on this film alone, which means a response overall that it was a decent film for a horror film plus decent for a remake. Even though the film involved a lot of accidents due to the actual filming, there were no injuries, deaths or accidents to any actors or crew or sets that happened during this filming, which shows that they were very careful and that the health and safety was taken very seriously. In June 2006, DreamWorks announced that a deal has been set up for the US version, A Tale of Two Sisters. Advanced press materials dropped the A from the English title. The new film is a presentation of DreamWorks and Cold Spring Pictures, which also did Disturbia, and is produced by Walter F. Parks and Laurie MacDonald, who did The Ring and The Ring 2, and Roy Lee. The screenplay was written by Craig Rosenberg, who also did After the Sunset and Lost, Doug Miro and Carlo Bernard, The Great Raid. In early 2008, the title needed to be changed. The working title was originally A Tale of Two Sisters, like its predecessor, but the final title was confirmed to be The Uninvited, an announcement made in March, which the film was released in North America and Canadian theatres on January 30th, 2009, which meant the film was set back 3 years before it was actually released, which shows that the film was delayed by 3 years, which means it was later planned, which caused the budget to go over by £4 million. And this was due to the fact of having the right location, actors, and also weather interference. And then the total lifetime grosses, domestic was 68.7%, plus foreign was 33.1%. Next page. Right, and then I'll for the next one. You'll have to add this in. Opening weekend, it was £10 million. It was third ranking. Again, it was in 2,000 theatres and it had a $4,405 average. The total percentage of the whole gross is 36.1%, and its widest release was 2,000 theatres. Closing date was April 2nd, 2009, and in release 63 days, 9 weeks. This shows that overall the film was a success and didn't bomb, and also made more money, although the financial budget for the film was not official, but according to Box Office it was an estimated $4 million, which it did fairly moderately for a horror film in the US markets. The film was released on March 6, 2009 in Australia, and the film opened at the 5th position, averaging $3,000 at 121 sites for a gross of £4,000. Yeah. The second week it dipped 29%. This film was financed by Paramount Home Entertainment. The film did not make any money of product placement or merchandising, although the original film, The Tale of Two Sisters, was made from a book, which also had a lot of merchandise in China, which compared to the remake, titled The Uninvited, it didn't make any money up from the product placement or merchandising. The most they had was the advertising and marketing campaigns, which is what helped them make as much money as it did. The film The Uninvited had the film's company's name in the trailer and release of the film, which is called a tie-in, where the film's company paid to use the film title or image on their products. It also made money of paid advertising from billboards worldwide. They released a viral clip of The Uninvited, then a teaser trailer, which normally lasts 1 to 2 minutes long, which lets the audience know that the film is coming soon. They then released a full-length trailer 1 month before it was released in 2009, which we learn about the plot, cast, theme, and the key indicators of content. There is also an extra on the DVD release, but on the DVD release it's called Unlocking the Uninvited, which goes into great detail about the process and thoughts behind the film, roles given, directors, and so much more, which is a very interesting thing to watch. Here is a quick 1-minute clip of a part of the extra.
It was a very intriguing story that had at its heart, though, something that was very primal, that can elicit in the audience the same level of visceral emotional reaction that otherwise you might need millions of dollars of special effects to get.
It felt exciting that there was such a great payoff at the end to all the drama and all the thrills that had happened beforehand.